So you booked an interview with the media. First of all, congratulations. You might think the hardest part is over, but to give an effective interview, you have to do some prep work. Don't worry, in this video, I'm going to show you some of the more common mistakes that people make when doing interviews, and I'm going to give you some tips that will help you deliver a stellar interview. Stay tuned. My name is Fennella Bruce and I'm a media consultant. One of the things that frustrates me is when I see a media interview with a great message, but it gets lost because the person wasn't prepared. You know, a media interview is more than just about words. It's about your presentation, your delivery, your demeanor. All of these things play a huge role in delivering your message and generating interest about your story. A media appearance is a huge opportunity when trying to get your message out there. In order for it to be successful, it needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, and it needs to be polished. If you'd like to know how to get booked for a media interview, make sure you check out our video on media pitches. But in this video, I'll be covering what not to do in a media interview, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to crush that media interview. Now, as always, there's going to be a worksheet in the description box below to help you through this whole process. So here are 6 mistakes that people make when giving media interviews. So number 1, now that we're in a virtual world, we are doing our own camera work, our own audio work, etc. For television stations. And so we're doing it via Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, what have you. And so one of the things that makes me cringe is that people don't pay attention to their background. You want to make sure that you have a nice background, it's not distracting, maybe some plants, maybe a bookcase behind you, something that is not taking away from your interview. You also want to make sure that it's well lit, that you're not in a dark room, that people can see you clearly. You want to make sure that there's no distractions, there's no noise behind you, there's no cars going by or kids playing in the background. You want a nice, quiet room to do your interview so other things are not taking away from what you're saying. Okay, so number 2, poor camera and sound setup. You want to make sure that you are looking directly in the camera when you're talking. You want to make sure that you have enough headroom, that you have enough space around your image. You can see all of this ahead of time. You can, set up a Zoom or Skype or whatnot and look at how you are, frame yourself properly. You want to make sure that you know where your camera lens is, so you're not doing the up the nose shot or that you're not looking down and people are wondering where you're looking. Know where your camera lens is. A little trick that I use, particularly with laptops, I tell my clients is that take some masking tape, put a little arrow on 2 pieces of masking tape and put it on either side of that tiny pinhole, that camera lens, and it will keep you focused so that you won't look away, because it's very hard to just continually talk to yourself or talk at a camera. You tend to look everywhere, around, but that will help you to stay focused. The second thing is your audio. You want to make sure that your audio is on point, because nothing is worse than, when you're cutting out or it's distorted and a person cannot hear your message. So make sure your audio is good. Make sure that you can wear earbuds, and that helps to cut out any sort of background noise and cancellation, sort of like a cancellation noise effect. And it will make your interview so much better. Please, please, please check out your camera, your audio, test it out, record it ahead of time, and see how you look and sound so that when you're broadcast, you're like perfect. Number 3. So this is important for in-person and for virtual, but very much more so for in-person. Be on time. I was a morning producer, and I'm telling you, anytime somebody was late, it just threw off the whole show. And sometimes you wouldn't get on the show because you have a certain time, they have a flow, and if you miss that opportunity, you miss that opportunity. So try to get there like 15, 20 minutes ahead of time so that you can relax and sit there and just think about what you have to say. You're not rushing in and you're frazzled and apologetic for being late. So always be on time. You don't want to have that reputation. You may not get invited back again. So make sure that you Give yourself enough time to be there and to be prepared for your interview. And if you're doing a virtual one, same thing, or you're doing a radio interview, same thing. Be on time. If you have a time slot, meet it. Number 4, make sure that you're dressed appropriately for your interview. Remember, you're representing your company, your brand. You want to make sure you look good. Try to wear bright colors on television. They always look better, but have a professional look about you. Remember, this is your impression you're making on an audience that doesn't know you. So you want to make a great first impression. Consider maybe wearing your brand colors. There's an association that people make with logos and colors of companies, and it makes them remember certain colors linked to a logo or a company. But most importantly, what I can emphasize more than anything, just dress appropriately for the interview, look professional. Number 5, you want to make sure that you're not talking too long or talking too little. There's a happy place that you have to find. You don't want to ramble on. You don't want to take up your interview answering one question and then you're out of time. So just pace yourself. A good thing to keep in mind is like 45 seconds is roughly a good length of time to answer a question, and you want it to be very conversational so that it's not just you speaking or there's this like awkward pause or silence when you've answered the question because maybe the interview is surprised that your answer was so short. So find that balance and make sure that you don't talk too long and make sure that your answers are long enough to stimulate a discussion. Number 6, now this is very, very important. You don't want to cut off the interviewer and you don't want to come across as argumentative. Remember, this is their show. So you don't want to come on and start getting into a battle of the wits with the person that's interviewing you because they likely have a built-in audience and you're the one who's going to end up looking bad. So, make sure that you keep your cool. If there's something that you don't agree with, answer calmly. Don't raise your voice, and you don't want to also kill your opportunity of coming back on the show again if you come off as a hothead. I'm going to do another video with some more tips on media appearances, but these ones should hold you over for the time being. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. As I mentioned before, there is a link in the description box to download the notes, or you can head to my website, fkbmedia.com/DLC, and use the password YouTube, all caps, and you can download it there for free. You can also, while you're there, head to my Contact Us page and sign up for the newsletter. You'll find out when these videos are coming out a day before anyone else, and you'll also have access to the worksheets a day before anyone else. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at FKB Media, and you'll find out about upcoming videos and get also more media tips on my Instagram feed. Be well, work with purpose, and I'll see you next time.